Welcome to the Palma Yacht Show and another world exclusive. Behind me here is the brand new Fjord 490 Open, and we're going to give you a full tour and show you everything there is to see. My name is Hugo Andreae, you're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go and take a closer look. So let's start with the facts. It is a 49-foot boat. It has a pair of Volvo IPS drives. You can either have 700s or 800s, and the starting price is 1.19 million euros. But realistically, by the time you've spec'd it up, it's probably going to be closer to about 1.5 million. Now, it is a brand new boat. It's not a restyling. It is completely new, and it fits between the 41XL and the 53. Now, starting at the stern, as you'd expect, a huge hydraulic bathing platform. We've got integrated steps down on this side. You can see that as that sinks down, that will create a lovely gentle staircase into the sea. And then I really like the way they've got this aft-facing bench here. So even when that platform is down in the sea, you've got a little space for your feet there and a lovely long bench facing out to sea. Now, up ahead of that, there is the main sunbed. And yet again, Fjord are very good at maximising the functionality. So you can see, well, if we remove, there's about 500,000 scatter cushions here, always the case, not quite sure why at boat shows, but you can either have it as the backrest for the dinette, and we'll take a closer look at that in a minute, but also by folding the seat over and forward, it folds forward and then flips round. You can see it also works as a headrest. So you'll see you have got a full 6 foot, kind of 2 metre bed there, so you can stretch out in considerable comfort. Now, the other thing to point out is that this is the first Fjord with folding balconies, and you can see one folded down here. Enormous, great extra extension, but very cleverly they've cut it out so that you still get the cleats in here. And I'll show you this on one of the ones that isn't used, because there's another very clever feature going on here. If we take a closer look at this cleat in here, not only is it raised on a platform and cut out so you can get to it, but it actually has built-in winch rollers within that. So rather than having a separate winch and roller, these little sections here will roll. You can tighten the line up and then loop it over the cleat all in one. Very clever, saves space, works beautifully easily. Now, this one is the platform with it up. In the up position, you can see we've got teak on both sides. This looks like flexi teak actually, and on the top there. And the other thing about these Fjords is they're really easy boats to move around. So everywhere you look, there are grab rails. We've got a big chunky one here. And when we move forward, we've got another one in the guardrail here. And as we step forward onto the bow, there's another one. But really good wide walk around side decks, good deep bulwarks. So you feel incredibly safe. It's very good for families of all ages to move around. Now, Fjords are all about having fun in the sun, and this is an excellent example. Just look at the size of the dinette we've got here. This is in fact 2 separate tables, again with good reason, but also look how chunky they are, hugely thick, but very nice little joints in the side there too. But the reason they're so oversized is because you can put this one down, fold it all out, sink it down, and then this whole thing can have an infill as well, so that that can become a kind of sunbed under the shade of this hardtop. Hardtop's another thing I'm going to talk about in a minute, but the point of that is that you can sink that one down and have that as a sunbed and still have a really big table over there, so that you can still got space for probably 6 people to sit around a table. But in this mode, with everything set up and with that backrest in position 2, you have a simply enormous dining space. Right, I mentioned the hardtop, and we'll take a slightly closer look at this too, because you can see that this comes all the way out to the side of the boat. Rather than just being limited to the helm section, you get shade all the way to the outside, and there's one of those recessed handles there. And whilst we're here, let's walk up to the foredeck and show you how effectively that is. So it's so easy to walk along here. The other thing to point out is just how easy it is to crew on. So even if you are a guest, you've never been on a boat before, you can still help out. So you'll see all the way along these side decks, there are little recesses within the coaming for the fenders. So each of these little black cushions is in fact an inbuilt fender. And the reason they're so easy to use is because they're already pre-rigged. So you literally just lift this up, I can do this one-handed, take off that retainer, pick up the fender, drop it over the side, job done. There is no faffing about trying to put it on a cleat or tie it around a rail. They're all pre-attached, all ready to go. And to put it back, exactly the same, just flip it over, pop it back in. Not quite so easy one-handed, if I'm absolutely honest. That goes in there, the retainer goes around the neck there, that goes back in place, job done. So it's just so easy. The whole point is to make it as simple, foolproof as you possibly can. Nice detailing with these big pop-up cleats. Look at that, really chunky. We've got steps built into the coaming too, so if you want to step it over the side, they just fold out like that. Bottom one a little bit larger than the top one, so it makes a nice little staircase. These are the details that make them so popular, particularly in Mallorca and Ibiza and the Balearics. Whilst we're up here, take a quick look at the sunbed, another massive sunbed here. And then right in the bow, a rather cosy little bench that faces both ways. This is traditionally often just a little wasted space or used for anchoring. Here we've got a lovely little seat, but it just means 2 or 3 of you can sit around there. We've got all the controls for the anchor, so the anchor is hidden beneath this seat here. But if we take a closer look here, we've got all the controls. There's an anchor hatch open, anchor arm out, windlass up, down, etc. We've got speakers in the coaming, and if we look over here, there are controls for the stereo too. So just very cleverly done for maximum entertainment and easy use by guests and crew. Now this hardtop, there you can see what I mean by it coming all the way out to the side. In the center, it's a little bit smaller, just protecting the helm seats. And crucially, you can leave it like this with a bit of a gap so you get maximum air through it, or you can have it going all the way up if you want full protection. Now, with so many people seating at that dining table, you also need somewhere to serve and cook for them. And here you've got one of the biggest wet bars I think I've ever seen on a boat like this. Quite cleverly, we've got glass lids to them, so you can put both of these up like this. And then you've got some protection, so if you are cooking something or serving drinks, you're not going to spill it down the necks of your guests sitting in front of you. But because they're see-through, it doesn't feel like you're blocking off access to them. We've got a big sink here. All of these cupboards have storage under them. There's 2 fridges in here, there's one there, there's another one up that end. Storage, nice little wooden drawers for everything. So there's plenty of space for your crockery and cutlery. We've got an induction hob here and these lovely little pop-up lights. Literally just pop up like that. So it is all about having fun, entertaining at sea, everybody in one space, all under the shade of this big hardtop. Now the helm position itself, we've got 4 seats. It's been designed by Marco Casalli, this boat. It's the first one he's done. Some quite brave choices on the fabrics here, to be honest. Not sure if I go for that, but it's certainly quite unique. But we've got this lovely sort of striated turquoise and then a slightly sort of bobbly, curious, I'm not sure how to describe that. Certainly pretty unique. And then very modern, very techie helm station, 2 big touchscreen Simrads. These are the throttle controls and the joystick for those IPS drives. Nothing particularly unusual about that, but obviously having the joystick with the IPS control makes it incredibly easy to maneuver. You literally just point it where you want to go. Very minimalist design. We have got some key switches for the main gear that you want to get to without having to scroll through all the menus. So you've got the nav lights and the anchor windlass and the anchor hatch and so on, all easy to control from there. But everything else is through these 2 huge screens. I like the fact we've got 4 forward-facing seats here, all with their little fold-up bolsters. You can see those slot up and down, and then some neat little storage places. And again, everywhere you look on this boat, there's always cup holders, both for the helm, all around the boat, all around all the sunbeds. It's fully catered for entertaining. But it's not just about deck space, there is also an interior, and when it clears out we'll go and have a closer look in there too. So access is through a smoked perspex sliding screen, just very simply opens up like that. Then we got 4 steps down, and you'll be amazed how much space there is down here. Now, it's a 49-foot boat, but it's one of the very few day boats like this to have 2 separate cabins and 2 separate heads. So this is nominally the owner's cabin. It is forward in the bow, and it has tremendous natural light in here. You can see we've got hull side windows on the lower level, but we've also got eye level windows leading out onto the side deck. You obviously don't get much of a view from there because that is the bulwark we're looking at through that window there. You probably just saw someone walk by, so you don't get a view, but it does let in loads more natural light. Now, the other thing they're really proud of is that this is a proper custom-made mattress, really nicely done. It is absolutely as the same sort of quality you would get on a high-end bed in your house. So rather than just a foam mattress, it's a properly comfortable sleeping space. Got an escape hatch overhead. Hopefully you won't have to use that, but that's where the sun cushion is. You could get more light in there, and you have got blinds for all of these windows. So when you are in bed, you can see we've got curtains that draw out from over there, and then blinds that drop down to shield the light from there. We've also got a big 46-inch television on the bulkhead here. We've got storage behind these locker doors. Big speakers absolutely everywhere. You'll see it's a massive one built into the side there, and some nice little touches. I don't know if this is real marble on here, but it certainly looks quite convincing, but just nice to have that little detail. So you've got the contrast between the wood, the marble, the fabric, and some kind of matte paint finish in there. Now, this does have an ensuite bathroom. It's behind this door, and you can see it is a little bit, you have to sort of slightly juggle the doors around to make it all work. And in truth, that is quite a narrow opening into the bathroom, but it is a very good size ensuite bathroom. Big mirror on the bulkhead here, sink over there, hull window tucked in there, and then there is a separate shower compartment in here. Now, it is quite tight, that shower compartment, given how big the bathroom is, and I think they've currently got slightly too large a shower head in there, so I think they are going to change that. But let's just see if I can get in there. I'm going to try and spin round. Okay, yeah, that is quite tight, if I'm honest. I think they might need to have a little bit of a look at that, but you have got a separate shower compartment, an ensuite bathroom, and plenty of light, but probably could use that space a bit more effectively, and ideally I'd like to see a slightly wider door there. But let's carry on the tour. Now, very sensibly, from this lobby area there's access to the day heads, so you don't have to go through either of the cabins to get to this bathroom. When you've got a boat full of guests on board for the day, they've got access to a separate day heads. Works very nicely. We've got a toilet down here, another hull window there, very small sink there. You might have to be a little bit careful to use that without spraying water everywhere. But crucially, another shower in here, and that one looks a slightly bigger size and a better spec. But typically when you're out in Mallorca this time of year, the water is actually quite cold, so really nice to be able to come inside and have a warm shower. And then second cabin is under the cockpit, and again, much bigger than you might expect. So there's not quite full standing headroom. If I spin the camera around, you'll see I do have to drop to get down in here, but once I've sat down on the bed, there's just about sitting headroom on the bed, and crucially, there is plenty of space around it. So if I'm holding the camera relatively low, but you can see we've got a big window there, we've got storage all the way around the bed. Exactly the same over on the other side. Another hull window. I think they do need to work a little bit on the artificial lighting in here. It's a little bit darker than you'd like. True, we are hemmed in at a boat show, right up against other boats and against the quay, but it would be nice, at least for the artificial lighting, to be a little bit brighter. Right, let's go back on deck. We talk a little bit about performance. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to show you the engines because there is a slight issue with the hydraulic ram leading down into the engine bay. But what you need to know is that under here is a very big storage area, not quite big enough for a fully inflated tender, but you can get a load of SUPs or a deflated tender or sea bobs and so on can store under that sunbed there. And then access to the engine room is under the table. I don't think I can quite get under there, but you can see there is a hatch down there, and that will give access to either IPS 700 or 800 engines, which should give a cruising speed of around about, or a top speed of around about 34 knots. And in terms of range and category, should get about 300 miles of range. It is a category B cruiser, certified for 12 people. And of course, being a Fjord, it is also a very, very striking looking boat. So I'm just going to walk up to the bow here to make sure we can admire it in all its glory. Check that out. That is a very cool looking boat, and pretty much every bay you go into in Mallorca, you will find several Fjords. Not this one, because this is brand new, but you can see some of the other boats in the range spread out there, and they are one of the most popular day boats you will find in this corner of the Mediterranean. So that is the Fjord 490 Open. Now, I hope you've enjoyed exclusive tour of this boat. It's the very first one that's been built. It's the first opportunity anybody has had to see it. As usual, it looks like a fantastic boat to have out for a weekend on the water. You can have a couple of couples on there and up to 10 or 12 guests during the day. It looks like a superb place to hang out. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll bring you more of these exclusive tours every couple of days. Thank you for watching.